Wow. Wow, man. YouTube is something else, man. Something else. Seriously. You know what I mean? Seriously. YouTube did that. I don't know what happened. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting there talking, and the thing just went off. And it said YouTube update. What do I have to do with that? And they just bumped me off, man. You understand? And I'm looking at my computer, and it's just like going. I couldn't put it private or nothing. I couldn't rejoin it or nothing. So I had to delete that video. Otherwise, it would have kept going. It's my first time ever seeing something like that. You know what I mean? That's just crazy, man. YouTube, I tell you, man. For real. You know what I mean? I tried to see if I could get back on, but, we back. You know what I mean? So I forgot what I was talking about, man. You understand? It seemed like something always tend to happen when we having some conversation, you know what I mean, with this YouTube stuff for the most part. You know what I mean? Facebook, I don't get no issues out of Facebook when if I happen to go live or put videos out. It's always with this YouTube stuff. All right, what's up to Jonas? Shout out to you. Hope all is well. What's up to Biblical Instructions before leaving Earth? Shout out to you. Hope all is well. You know what I mean? They just made me waste a whole 30 minutes almost. You know what I mean? With that video that we just had made, man. You understand? So I don't forgot what I was referring to, talking about what's up with Tyree Lewis. Shout out to you. Hope all is well. You know what I mean? And let's see where we can start at, man. I'm trying to think about where we left off at. For the most part, I know I saw G Swole talking about he wanted to become a cop because of 2 movies or something like that. You know what I mean? Shout out to all the other people who was on. For the most part, man, you said truck life. Truck life. For sure. All right. Okay, we here talking about law enforcement. To those 2 individuals. You understand? You know what I mean? I ain't trying to detour from this topic. For the most part, we was here. We had to raise a question to the public. Should Christians take a job in law enforcement? Before we got bumped off after talking for about 30 minutes about it. You know what I mean? And I think somebody, I think Laura Lee, you said he was a correctional officer and you believe that God took you out of that. Mr. Ham, I think I asked a question to Mr. Ham. Mr. Ham had a question. Does being a cop violates the scriptures? You know what I mean? And I think I posed a question to him. What things in law enforcement, you know what I mean, violates the scriptures if a person just going to work and they police in the community, they're a respectful officer, they do their job the proper way. What things violates the scriptures as far as like being in law enforcement? So I don't know if Mr. Ham came back on or whatever the case may be. You know? Aaron Michael says, if you're a real person, you don't need a job in law enforcement. I mean, that don't make no type of sense at all. You know what I mean? You got to come a little better than that. You understand? So if a person is in law enforcement, what? They're a fake person? You know what I mean? They got fake blood? Help me understand that. You know what I mean? If you say a person don't need a job in law enforcement, then if you're driving your car and you get into an accident, don't call the police. You understand? You're going to have to deal with the insurance company yourself. You understand? Somebody breaking into your house, don't call the police. You know what I mean? Somebody knock your kids over, don't call the police. You know what I mean? All right? Royal priesthood. You said, greetings. I have a very major concern that's bothering me. I need somebody to address it publicly. It's getting old. Which is what? You know what I mean? What you're referring to at royal priesthood? You know, just say what you got to say. You know, if it's that serious. What's up, EFP? Aaron Michael says, I'm tired of the narrative that Tony Harvin displays on his YouTube channel. Okay, so what? That's your problem. That's your business. Listen, get upset and throw your device. I don't care. You know, punch the computer, punch the phone. You know, DDT your laptop. I don't care. You understand? That just was a dumb comment. I mean, sometimes you got some points, and sometimes you just got some silly, stupid comments. And that was a stupid comment right there. Simple. You don't like it? I don't care. All right? What's up to Gino P? He said, it kept repeating your words. I thought it was my phone and restarted. Yeah, just YouTube knocked me off. I don't know. They was doing some type of update. You know what I mean? I think whoever was live in general, they might have knocked everybody off who was live. You know what I mean? Which I think is fair. You understand? If that was the case, they should give people warnings like, we're going to update at this time. You know what I mean? Not when people are live and then, you know, a person might have had like a 3-hour live and got bumped off. Now they got to delete the video because it keep going and going, and there's no way of getting back on. You understand? All right. Gino P said, trolling force of peace. Oh man. Let me see where we at. I'm just looking at these comments from the computer. Royal Priest said it's not relevant to your topic. That's why. I mean, just say it, man. You know what I mean? If it's that serious, if it's something that serious, just say it for the most part. You know what I mean? I mean, we had about 30 minutes on the last live, so it's like, you know what I mean? I was just only going to give it about 30 minutes in reference to this topic for the most part. You know what I mean? Well, looking at the term simp at Mr. Michaels. Listen, I don't want to be associated with that. With you're a fairy or something. I'm starting to think you're a fairy, Mr. Michaels. You know what I mean? I'm starting to think you're playing the Flower Town now. AG says, if someone aspires to work in law enforcement, do it. What's up to Mark? Shout out to you. Hope all is well. I guess royal priesthood, you know. I was waiting for the royal priesthood to say what you got to say for the most part. You know what I mean? We already got our 30 minutes out the way, the last live, and you know what I mean? It's really nothing else to say in reference to the topic because that's all I wanted to give it, about 30 minutes. You know what I mean? And we just have some folly from Mr. Michaels once again. You know? Mr. Michaels, I don't get a fella who's saying he's in holiness who acts in a manner like you. You understand that? Like I said, I don't classify you in holiness. I don't. To say you've been baptized at the church and whatnot, but your behavior is far from it. You understand? Way far from it. You know what I mean? And you seem to be the common denominator to a lot of things in reference to, the chat room. If you say you're in holiness, you're supposed to conduct yourself in a holy manner. You know what I mean? Instead, you want to try to, go deep sea diving with a lot of women on here. For the most part, I would recommend you get yourself checked, because if you're trying to deep sea dive with women on here, who knows what you're doing on the outside? You understand? Who knows? You know what I mean? And then you call yourself, picking fights and stuff with people on here, for the most part. And then you say, listen, I'm going to unalive myself. You've been saying you're going to unalive yourself since last year. You understand? So, Mr. Michaels, you'll keep ranting and raving and stuff like that. It is what it is. All right. Royal Priesthood says, because I'm tired of it, please address it. Or some brother, please address this false teacher, Jay Williams from Global Impact Channel. Don't appreciate him talking about our leader. Well, you mentioned that, and as I said to myself, like, I'm not gonna make no videos, no clear cut videos about false prophets. I'm not gonna put my time and effort into it. You know what I mean? And as Gino stated, that don't waste our time with those focusing on those people, unless it's something like valuable and for educational purposes, to warn the people. There's hundreds and thousands of people talking about Gino. You understand? So-called church people, false preachers and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you listening to, or if you heard Jay Williams talk bad, you know what I mean? You might hear Dow talk bad on Gino, the Hebrew Israelites talking down. You might hear the fella in Alabama and whatnot, the fella in North Carolina. You know what I mean? It's a lot of people, man. You understand? So it's like, if you're gonna get like feel tired about that, then it's hundreds more, it's thousands more, man. You know what I mean? For the most part, it's like, should we waste our time, giving these false prophets the attention that they possibly want? You know what I mean? Let me know, because I never heard of this fella. Never heard of him. You know what I mean? Almost every day is somebody new. And then you got to deal with the people who make up the false stories about Gino, especially on Facebook. They're making these AI pictures and stuff like that. They got Gino getting slapped by TD Jakes. They talking about Gino and his wife getting divorced and him crying in an AI picture. Why you got to deal with that type of stuff? Who would have thought a day like this, people would use AI for that? You know what I mean? They got a picture of Gino crying to his wife. You know what I mean? Now, to the person who's making these AI pictures, you got talent, but you're using it for the devil's use. That's some good talent to have, but they're using it for the devil. You understand? It's pretty funny. And some people actually believe that garbage. Some people do. Because the pictures, it could look real to people who don't know much about AI. You know what I mean? Which is crazy. All right, he says he just made a video trying to debunk Pastor and Jesus Christ being God and keeps pushing the Trinity. Thank you for letting me share. You said sorry It was supposed to say false teacher. My bad. I was using my talk to text mic. It's okay, forgiven. Man, there's a lot of them out there. It's a lot of them out there. It seems the common factor is, Jesus Christ is God or the Trinity talk. Man, it seems like be the only two main subjects these folks be talking about. Man, it just wrecks my mind. You know what I mean? And it's like I don't want to give these folks the attention that they are looking for at the end of the day. You know what I mean? What's up to Shirley? Shout out to you, AG. What's up to Expert? Shout out to you. Hope all is well. Let's see. Jonah wrote 1 John 5:21. He said, wait a minute. He says, Aaron went down in water. Well, that's what he said. He said he was baptized at First Church, but he doesn't act like it. You know what I mean? His attitude doesn't line up with what he professes. What's up to Jermaine? Shout out to you. I hope all is well. You know what I mean? So we're going to close this thing out. You know what I mean? YouTube messed up my first live. And we had it going for the most part willing. We'll be on later. You know what I mean? To have some more talk and whatnot. I'll probably be on the stream later. Might be a little bit better to go live with that one in general. But the best way I would say at Royal Priest is to make videos like the recap videos. You understand? The recap videos is definitely good to make. And it's not, talking about these false prophets. It's letting these people know, listen, this is what's being taught. This is our feedback on this topic and whatnot. You know what I mean? Because them people out there, they're looking for attention. And when you ignore them, it just stirs them up. You know what I mean? Look at how many videos these folks make about the truth of God. You understand? And they're just looking for us, YouTubers or anybody else, to show them the attention. These folks say YouTube is hating. It's possible, but, they said there was an update. It appeared on my phone. And it is what it is. But Lord willing, we'll be on later. You know what I mean? With some more good conversation. So I thank everybody for tuning in from this live and the live before that. You know what I mean? Before we got knocked off. And Lord willing, I'll catch y'all later. All right? Tony Harvin, I'm signing off. I'm out. Peace. Man, you just had to write a question, man, before I go, man. You just had to. You said, do you think the child jail is more dangerous than adult jail? When a female correctional officer told me the child jail is more dangerous than... Well, I guess it all depends on the person. Yeah, I mean, it all depends. Again, it all depends how you talk to people, too. You know what I mean? Royal Priesthood said, thanks again. But as far as law enforcement goes, Lord knows if I was physically able right now, I would love to get back into loss prevention, security, and logistics. Wonderful. All right. God bless everybody out there. I'm Tony Harvin signing off. I'm out. Peace. We called him a fruitcake.